name's Wayne Carl, coming to you from Australia, and I've got with me Phar Jenkins, who, funnily enough, is actually in the same suburb, but we're catching up via Skype. 3-2 pro, fighting and coaching at a Metamorphica. Mate, welcome. I did a Q&A on you about, I think it was 6 to 8, maybe, a while ago. I think it was before your last fight.
Yep, would have been 12 months ago then.
Didn't actually read that, mate. The nickname, Phar Jenkins. Take us through where that come from.
Well, it's actually, it's not Jack Phar, it's Phar Jack. The Phar comes first because there's a famous racehorse in Australia, for those who don't know, named Phar, and it was just around during the Great Depression, so it was actually probably one of our biggest sporting icons here. And one time I was rolling with my coach, and we were down at a gym, and I just kept going. And by the time everyone else had sat out and was finished up the rounds, I wanted to keep going. And my coach sort of looked at me and said, "Oh, you like Phar, you just keep going," because he was known for just keeping going when all the other horses had sort of given out. And it just sort of stuck from there that he just started calling me Phar Jack, and that's where it came from.
Sweet, mate. And I see a lot of the t-shirts at the HEXs, mate. I might have to grab one next time I see it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we get a good crowd coming down there. I'm pretty lucky to have be from Bacchus Marsh, same as you, I suppose. But we've got a good community here, and everyone does get down and support me. So it's good having those shirts around.
Sweet, mate. So how long have you been a practicing, martial artist?
So I did kickboxing for a year when I was 16. And then at the end of that year, I stopped kickboxing and started jiu-jitsu, and I did that for about 8 months. So not really long at all, just sort of like trialing it out. And then after that, I ended up moving to Canada, and I had a long break. I was in Canada for 3 years, and I came back, and in March of 2016, I started training again. So I started training proper MMA, like both at the same time, down at Metamorphica. And from there, I turned pro like 3 months after that. I had my first pro fight 3 months after I started training properly. So it was a pretty quick turnaround, and I've been flat knacker at it since then. So,
mate, what drives you to step into the cage? Like, obviously, you're a fairly intelligent bloke. You're jumping into a cage, and a lot of people that don't love our sport don't understand why we do it. So what's your main motivator? Is it for the competition? You tell us.
Yeah, it's the competition. I like the ownership that it has on it. Like, you can never really lie to yourself or to anyone else. Like, what you see on the ring and in the ring and on the mat is exactly what you get. So I appreciate both of those sides of things. But like you said, I'm really competitive, and it's a way to get one-on-one and compete with people every day in, day out. So that's really why I love doing it. Keeps my head clear, and I'm happiest when I'm doing it. So it makes sense for me to just try and chase it down.
So going back to the coaching now, obviously, if you're coaching every day, you're always ready. But has that helped your fight IQ and things like that? Does coaching, does that make you a better fighter, do you think? What's your opinion on that?
100%. 100%. I don't think you would speak to many people who have coached and fought at the same time that don't give you that impression that it does make you a better fighter and does make you see the game better in that sense, because you have to approach the problems from a different scenario. Like me, I consider myself like I'm a pretty explosive featherweight in terms of athleticism and that stuff. And that did get me across the line in my first 3 fights, just being probably physically stronger and fitter than the people I was up against. But when you're coaching, you don't have that to fall back on. You've got to have good game plans, good basics, and that sort of stuff for you guys. So that's really helped me out with that. And my condition when I started coaching, when I got asked to do it, was that, look, I'm happy to do it as long as it doesn't take away from my own ambitions as a fighter. And true to his word, my coach Heath, who owns the gym, he's been so good at that. Anytime I need a rest, he'll cover. We sort of chop and change and lean on each other a little bit. But this week, for example, I'll just go in the bare minimum. Heath will cover the rest for me. So yeah, it's I've got all the benefits of coaching, without many of the setbacks and responsibilities that could weigh me down if it was a full-time gig.
So coming out of Metamorphica, who's next? Who should we watch out for? I know a few of the younger guys that you train, and I don't want you to. You might pinpoint a couple of them, but who should we start to look out for? Whether it be amateur, pro, coming out of your gym. Who's next?
Well, yeah, we got a couple of amateur guys. The big one, we've got Sam McNally up this Friday night. He's coming in for his second pro fight, and he's just a tough Western Suburbs boy that he just goes hard. He loves to fight. He really enjoys it. He doesn't have, ambitions to make this a career as such. He just loves to fight. So he's good. Ricky Beechan, our pro heavyweight, he's honestly up there in the top few heavyweights in the whole country. We've been struggling to get him a fight lately. Just trying to find a match, and we've had 2 matchups in the last 2 months, and both have fallen through. So we're hopefully getting him one in the next couple of months. But if that comes through, that'll be good. As for the amateur guys, we got a lot of amateur guys, and their names will be coming up and soon. But there's sort of too many for me to name individually for those guys.
Cool, mate. So you're fighting this week at HEX.
Yep.
Who's in Jack's corner? So who do we need to shout out coach-wise?
Right. So we've got my head coach is Heath Addard. He's my jiu-jitsu coach, and he's been with me since day one. My striking coach and the guy who has probably put in the most time with me over the last couple of years is Andrew Colgrave from the Ring Gym in Braybrook. And he's just great. We click really well. The one thing I love about Andy the most is he's not really set in one way or another. We sort of work off each other, and he sees how I'm feeling and what I'm like and what I'm not like and doing, and then he sort of changes the way he coaches based on that. And I really like that. I appreciate him doing that because that's how I like to coach my guys. They have their way of doing things, and we just try and sharpen it up and make it work for them rather than build people into a certain mold. So that's been really good. And the third one, I'll have Cal Potter. Cal Potter. He's been around. Cal. Without Cal, I'd be in a very different spot because Cal was the original person who he used to coach the Coach's I class at Metamorphica. But he went full time at his gym at Renegade. And Cal was the one who originally got me in with the pro team training down in Melbourne. And without that training, I'm literally sparring the toughest guys in the country. Any given day on the mat, we'll have 3-4 UFC fighters there who are at the top of the game. So without Cal introducing me to that crew and taking me down, I wouldn't be there. So it's really good having him in the corner. He's such a calm head, and he just helps with the nerves and keeping you confident when you're going out there.
Yeah, he is a gentleman, so shout out to Callan. He's obviously been on the show as well. So let's change gears, and I want to ask something about the UFC, something that drives me absolutely crazy. Interim titles. What's your take and what are your thoughts on interim titles, and do they need them, and are they just bullshit moneymakers?
Yeah, right. Well, so I'll probably go against the grain here for most people. I like the idea of the interim title, especially when it comes to injuries and that sort of thing for guys like Rob Whittaker. He's out for, a question mark amount of time. I don't think he should be stripped, but I do like the idea of giving, those other guys like Calvin and Izzy the chance to fight for something a little bit more meaningful than just a main event. For a couple of reasons.
Who wins that? I'll interrupt you. Who wins that?
Calvin.
Okay.
Calvin.
You're actually. I think me and you are the only ones that are picking Calvin for that. Obviously, the Anzac stuff, we're all supposed to go for Adesanya, but I actually think Gastelum takes it.
Yeah, I don't buy into that stuff too much. The Anzac stuff. It's kind of like, there's lots of boys who cross train between here and there, and I understand that. And City Kickboxing is such a great team. All their guys are so nice, so respectful, and they're just beasts. But as far as the Anzac thing, I don't really get it. For me, it's like, hey, if it's Rob and Izzy, it's Rob and Izzy, and they got to go for it. And if it's, if I get the shot and it's like, hey, you got to fight someone from New Zealand, then that's what it is.
Yeah, the UFC decided that the Anzac spirit didn't matter when they wanted to match up Kai, and they gave him Mokhtarian.
Yeah,
everyone didn't say anything about it. It's like, well, hang on a minute.
Yeah,
You've got so many of these other fighters.
Yeah, I sort of think the Anzac takeover kind of cheapens the work of the individual teams and gyms as well. Like like Eugene Behrman's done such a good job with his boys over there, and guys who we've got like Daniel Kelly and other, pioneers of our game, they did it off their own back. So I like, not to be too hard nut against it. I like the idea of recognising them for what they've done and guys here for what they've done as well.
Yeah, so you're the first one I've spoke to, but you know what? You probably articulated that really well about the interim. Totally understand that, especially if Rob's out for another 12 months. I'd hate to have him stripped. So, hopefully that's in Melbourne. I want that to come back to Melbourne because I was spewing when obviously...
That'd be great, wouldn't it? That'd be real good.
Still on the UFC, mate, TJ Dillashaw's just been caught. Well, it hasn't become official. Were you surprised, and what's your take on that?
Yeah, look, I love TJ's style, but I don't think anyone was really surprised that he got popped for it. I think the biggest thing is everyone is so surprised that he got caught because that the inner word was that that guy, the guy who he had doing it, was the best in the business at doing it. So I don't even know what he got pinged for at this point, whether it was diuretics to make that 125 or something else. But either way, he seems to have taken it on the chin and just said, I'm out. But, it wouldn't bother me if TJ was done forever now. Like, you look at Cody's on a 3-fight skid and looking at clawing his way back, and he was up against someone who was, probably doping. Well, if you believe anything, you go, well, Cody said he was doing it earlier on and he's just got caught for it. So that sort of affirms that, doesn't it?
I'm a Cruz fan, so anything between those three, I sort of take Dominic's side. I wasn't a massive Cody fan. Love the story behind things, and I'd take away the bravado. I had a lot of time for him. Was never a TJ fan. But in saying that, I wasn't happy when I woke up to the news and I thought our sport suffers each time someone gets popped. So, no, I wasn't surprised, but I was a little bit, that's not great. But if they are found guilty, and there's no doubt, is a year a long enough suspension, do you think?
Nah, not at all. Not even close.
Yeah.
I think I reckon 5 years is good. It's just got to be such a strong deterrent for the people. And there has to be some sort of culpability for people who cheat and win. Like you got to feel for Mark Hunt in the guys who he's cheated against. Because most of these fighters in the UFC, literally half of their paycheck is if they win. So if you're getting, let's say on the, middle to upper tier of that, if you're making 50 and 50 or 60 and 60 for a win, and you get knocked out by someone on the juice, you're going home 60K less in the bank and a sore head. It's like,
and that's your family's money as well. Like I talked to a lot of fighters, and that's where Mark Hunt got so upset about it is, and also he's going in against someone that's juicing. What if he actually had it hurt him? He's actually got a family and things like that. So, not good, mate. But I'm going to jump into my rapid fire 5. Are you ready?
Yep.
KO win or sub win?
KO.
Connor or Nate in a trilogy?
Is it at 170 or 155?
155.
Connor.
Okay. Cheap food, Macca's or KFC?
KFC. Without question. That one, you don't have to catch me blinking on that one. KFC every day of the week. So
there's 3 pubs, but just say one closes down. There's 2 pubs in Bacchus Marsh. One's got Wilder, one's got Fury. Who are you going to go have a beer with?
Oh, Fury. Of course, Fury.
I don't know if I could have a beer with Wilder. Last one, mate, and I know you've heard this one before, but it's Chris Cyborg standing in front of you, and you have to fight her or you have to marry her. What are you doing?
Oh, fight her, for sure.
Do you win?
100%. At 145, of course.
All right, mate. So you walk into the cage at HEX. You've got a shitload of fans, which I've heard them, and they're bloody noisy because they all actually sit around the same area I am, and it makes it How do you control your nerves? Like you got all your family and friends there, and you're going towards a cage. A dude your size, he's got the same gloves on, and he's trying to take your head off. What's going through your head, and how do you control those nerves?
I'm just trying to stay present. Like, from. I think that's been a problem in a couple of my fights previously. Is just not sort of being in the moment, just sort of letting my head go to other places. But I've had quite a few like competition scenario stuff come up since then. Like I did some sparring overseas with some guys, which was like full competition rounds where you sort of walk into the cage and there's a ref and stuff. I had a K1 fight in between now and then, plus a heap of jiu-jitsu comps. And the one thing me and my team have worked on is just staying super present in the moment. So whether it's your walkout or you're already in the cage, sort of looking across, just being in that moment. And then when the fight starts, the same, just staying present and solving the problem that's in front of you instead of thinking about anything else or thinking into the future or into the past.
Yeah, that was actually my next question. So you went 3-0 and you've lost your last two, and I can confidently say I streamed one of them and I was live at another one. And You're in control of, like, honestly, you're in control of both of them. One mistake in the one before last, and the one you're unlucky, I think you slipped and fell into an awkward position. I actually don't think your opponent even meant to get you in the hole that you were. So one of them was, the next question was, what have you learnt? And you've just answered that, and that was to stay in the moment. So, hoping to, I'm sure Friday night we'll see the best Jack Jenkins we've seen.
Yeah, 100%. That's the goal. If we can get, if I can show up to the fight at the capacity that I train at, then I know I'm going to be all right to go in there and give it a real good run at being the best in the country.
Yeah. So what do you know about your opponent?
Robbie, I saw him. I've only seen him fight once. I saw him fight Josh Riley. He's got quick hands. He looks like he's got sharp footwork. And he's pretty skillful from all accounts. So it's going to be a good scrap. He probably walks around, I reckon, similar weight to me. So there's not going to be too much advantage in either of us being heavier than the other. So I'm really just looking forward into going in there and solving the problem that's in front of me, whatever comes out.
Every fighter doesn't want to hear this, but how do you win it and what round? And
I think I'll win it. I think the ref will peel him off me at the end of the second.
Okay, sweet. All right, so
the ref will peel me off him. Did I say peel him off me or peel me off?
Or maybe you had him in a sub, mate. So you know where you were coming from.
Something like that. But yeah, I think I'll the first round there'll be a little bit of that feeling out, and I'll start to put the pressure on at the end of the first. And I think my fitness and my pressure towards and throughout the end of the second will just be a bit much.
All right, mate. So Dana gives you a call and says, mate, debut against anybody that you want. Who would you debut against in the UFC?
Probably Chad Mendes. I'd love to fight Chad.
Sweet. I had so I looked at you at what you're good at, and I know your wrestling's really strong. And I thought if he's going to get a win real early, I reckon Alex Caceres, you double leg his ass and just pound him out. So
Caceres, is he at featherweight now?
I'm pretty sure I looked him up. I think he does move, but I thought if anyone's going to match your style that's in the UFC, I thought I was going through the list and I thought, if he was going to get a ease into the UFC, I reckon a lot of people pick Alex Caceres to debut against. Really,
Alex, that'd be good. I'd like that. But as you probably know, and everybody would tell you, when you get that call from Dana or Mick or Sean, you don't ask questions. You just say yes, as everyone.
Mate, you fight anyone. So,
exactly.
All right. So, shout out to friends and family. Who do we need to shout out to that have got Jack to where he is? Who allows you to follow your dream, mate? Because I know a lot of people will be making sacrifices for you. Give them a shout out.
Yeah, 100%. Well, my brother is probably the biggest. Has been the biggest supporter since day one. He was an undefeated kickboxer back in his heyday. And he did things for us. Like when I was a kid, he paid all my gym fees for a few years when I was kickboxing and I first started jiu-jitsu just to make sure I could get in and get the training. And, he's helped me along for the first couple of years. He had a daughter recently, so he hasn't been able to help as much recently. But before his daughter came along, he'd hold pads for me 3 or 4 times a week just off his own back. So that's he's probably been the biggest. And then on top of that, just the rest of my family, mum and dad are big supports and that sort of thing. But I've got a really good support crew in terms of I've got really good mentors around me, people who are a few years older than me, who have seen a few things and helping me out. So you know what it's like in Bacchus Marsh. You walk into a cafe here and spend the first 30 minutes before you order anything just saying hello to everyone you know. So I'm really blessed to be from here, and I really like being from here too.
That's why I don't go into cafes. If I'm in a hurry or anywhere, I go to Melton because no one talks to you in Melton, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't forget the lady watching Married at First Sight in the other room, mate. You better give her a shout.
You stand here, look at me. I was going to give her a shout out at the end. She's pretty good too. She keeps me on the straight and narrow and helps me out whenever I need it.
So where can the viewers follow you, mate? You're on Instagram, you're on Facebook. Have you created your own page yet? Where can we follow you?
Yeah, no, best thing is just Instagram. I'm not too much into the Facebook thing just yet, and I think, especially in Australia, I think Facebook's sort of on the way out in terms of promoting and that sort of thing. So I'm on Instagram, and I try and keep it pretty realistic there. I try and keep it an accurate representation of what's actually going on in my life. Like, there's a lot of training photos, which is the majority of what I do, but there's also photos of me and my mates and, you know, videos, and you can catch me playing Fortnite on there every now and then. So it's, head over. It's Phar Jack at Instagram if you wanted to check it out.
Fantastic, mate. Well, appreciate your time. Follow Jack. We're Combat Insiders. Peace out, guys. This is Wayne Cole, and that's Jack Jenkins. See you later.
Thanks, guys.